Clay Travis, OutkickTheCoverage.com, also part of our affiliate in Nashville, 104.5. He joins us now. You got boys. Would you let them play when they're old enough?
High school age, maybe. If they really wanted to play prior to that, I don't think I would. I don't think it's worth it. I mean, if they wanted to play flag football, if they wanted to work on their footwork, soccer, other sports, I do a show you just referenced, 104.5, 3HL here in Nashville, and Blaine Bishop, big-time, hard-hitting safety for the Titans, had to make that decision. He didn't let his son play till he was 11. And I think a lot of people, it's interesting to me, not just people like me who obviously didn't play football at a high level at any degree at all, but guys who took it to the highest level, a lot of them are very nervous, I think, more so because they understand the risk at a high level about letting their sons play. I just don't think it's worth it at a very young age. It really isn't to me.
Well, we are gathering information. We still don't know everything, and now you have these players that we looked up to, admired, followed, and they're in their 50s and 60s, and we're seeing the results of that. And also the college game, and we don't even know the results of that. You got guys who didn't go on to the NFL. They don't know what they have. They didn't have the medical team facilities. They didn't have doctors. They played, and then they went into business. And, that's the scary part. That's the next story, shoe to drop in this whole concussion story that we've followed here for the last couple of years.
Oh, I think for the next 20 years, Dan, we're going to be getting more and more stories about guys like Tony Dorsett, that, like you said, we all grew up idealizing and just feeling like that was what we wanted to be as an adult male. And what they put their bodies through, I think your average fan has no clue. And I think those stories are going to get more and more troubling as we age.
All right, I saw that you wrote something on this Jameis Winston story, and what I know is that I don't know anything with this, but I'm curious if Yahoo Sports put this story out instead of TMZ, the reaction we would get with this would be what?
I think it would probably be more legitimately covered. It would become a bigger story because there is that TMZ element. I mean, I think it's hard when you go on the website, and the other story is, I don't even know what the other competing story that TMZ has right now is, but they have been right on a lot of this stuff. And I guess the way they cover things kind of sensationalizes it. And it's one thing if somebody's pregnant or somebody's breaking up in Hollywood, but, and that's a big story. This is, to me, obviously a criminal investigation, which is the utmost story. And I don't know necessarily that you want to see the headlines like you do with TMZ. Having said that, I mean, I think this is really, really serious. And I think it also goes to show if we needed any other reason to believe it, you got to be careful when guys are just being sold as paragons of virtue. Doesn't matter who they are. I know there's a lot of Heisman voters who were saying, I'd have to think twice about voting for Johnny Manziel because he may have gotten paid for autographs in the offseason and because he went to Drake concerts and he, seems like a little bit of a punk on the golf course. And that all seems pretty small in relationship to what Jameis Winston is dealing with right now. I wish we had that scandal that we were talking about instead of this one.
Why is it the state's attorney's office just found out about this on Wednesday if it happened almost a year ago?
Yeah, I wrote, and again, like you said, I wrote thousands of words on this at Outkick the Coverage, and I did criminal law for a while when I was my other life. And to me, that's the most shocking element of this. There are two things that I think are crazy. One, this initial report was made in December of 2012. And if you listen to the police, they say they still have not yet spoken to Jameis Winston. I want to know exactly how that has gone down. Now, his attorney has said that he doesn't have any obligation to speak to police. Obviously, he has Fifth Amendment rights to avoid any kind of incriminating statements. He doesn't have the obligation once he retains a counsel to talk with police at all. But typically, when you hear stories like that, that's an odd kind of setup. I mean, if you didn't do anything at all, usually you'd want to go ahead and clear your name. I mean, I understand. Look, I would advise clients to get lawyers, all these things. But to me, that's the craziest aspect of this. I want to get it resolved. I want it to be closed. I want them to say, you did nothing wrong. To leave it open for 11 months and then suddenly say, when this TMZ report comes out, we got to go ahead and figure out what's going on now. It definitely is an odd sort of procedural dynamic that I can't explain.
If you were Jameis Winston's attorney, what would you do?
Well, first of all, I mean, what every attorney does, you sit down with your client and only him in the room and you tell him, tell me everything about this case. What do I need to know? We have attorney-client privilege. I am representing you. I will be a zealous advocate for you. I need to know everything about this night, and I need to know everything about your relationship. were you in this apartment? Do you know this girl at all? Where were you that night? Do you have any way to be able to prove it's where you were? And what's difficult is, if you're anything like a normal guy, I mean, it's hard to remember. Like, I can barely tell you what T-shirt I'm wearing right now, much less, go back 11 months from now. So hopefully he, got some sort of serious statement from him as soon as he was started to represent him, and you figure out exactly what the story is. If you believe that your client truly did nothing, then you want to inform authorities. If you don't think there's any reason to believe that he has any culpability or any potential charges facing him, you want to go ahead and get him to tell his story, whether it's through a statement that's already written, whether it's through, some sort of form or fashion like that. A lot of times stories like this you never hear about because attorneys do exactly what I'm saying right now. They squash it as soon as it happens because it's a completely illegitimate complaint. Here, I think this girl, this woman, believes that some sort of sexual impropriety happened. I mean, I buy into all of these studies that say women report a lot less of the sexual assaults than are actually committed. And so I don't buy into the fact that at 1:30 or 2 a.m. in the morning back in December of 2012, this woman just decided, I'm going to call the police and have all these intrusive investigators come by, maybe go through the rape kit treatments and all these other things just because I want to try to get back at somebody. I think that's overplayed. I think she believes something improper happened. Whether or not it did, this is where legally it gets a lot more difficult. Like I said in my article, people want to believe, and I understand completely why they do, that sexual conduct is it's a black or white issue. What I mean is it's either legal or illegal. The reality is there's a really substantial gray area in between both of these poles, where we would say, okay, there's 100% consensual conduct here, and then there's 100%, rape, or we think about somebody jumping out of the bushes and kind of raping a stranger or something. There's a lot of uncertainty there, particularly from a legal perspective, again, I'm talking about, where you have to determine beyond a reasonable doubt that something improper happened. So these investigations, I've done them. They're fraught with peril. It's incredibly difficult. It's often he said, she said. So this is just a mess. And I don't understand how in the world it could go for this long, almost a year now, without any resolution at all. I think it's tough for both Winston to be involved, and I think obviously for the person who believes that she's a victim. I can't imagine sitting around for a year and waiting for a resolution of this case and getting nothing.
Rapid fire here before I let you go. Most likely to keep their current jobs, Will Muschamp, Mack Brown, Ed Orgeron.
1, 2, and 3. Muschamp's going to keep his. Mack Brown, I would say 2. Orgeron, I think there's almost no chance that he gets that USC job.
You think, is there a chance Mack can stay if he wins out at Texas?
I think so. Look, I mean, if he beats Oklahoma State, to me, that's the crazy one. This is the linchpin game this weekend. If he beats Oklahoma State and he goes on the road that final weekend against Baylor, and worst case scenario, they're 9-3 and go into the Cotton Bowl, I think it would be hard to replace a 9-3 coach who's won over 75% of his games.
No chance, Edo, if he wins out. You beat Stanford at home. No chance that he get that job.
Yeah, his best option is that the guys that they really don't want the job, and so that means if Kevin Sumlin says no, that means if James Franklin at Vanderbilt says no. If they end up doing what has happened several times at USC, honestly, the last several times they've had coaches, they've ended up on their fourth or fifth option. It may be that they end up farther down the flow chart, and Pat Hayden finally says, we want to keep Coach Hill on the staff. Maybe the only way we can keep him is by elevating him. There's obviously some success stories of coaches that got the interim title and then got elevated, and there's also some disaster stories. So I would just be nervous based on O's record at Ole Miss, where it was, trust me, not very pretty at all.
Good to visit with you, Clay. Have a good weekend. Safe travels.
Hey, I appreciate that. Always good talking with you all as well.
Clay Travis, OutkickTheCoverage.com, covers college football for Fox, and also our affiliate Nashville, 104.5.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.